Sean, yeah, I remember he was on my newsfeed because he liked my last post. And you almost can build that trust and build that rapport with somebody by not even emailing them or calling them. You can do it simply by liking, sharing, and commenting.
Everything leads to growth with the National Association of Sales Professionals. The Leads to Growth podcast with the National Association of Sales Professionals provides in-depth discussions, sharing the best sales, prospecting, influence, and communication skills, as well as sales training techniques to take your professional sales career to the next level.
Hello, and welcome again to another Leads to Growth podcast with the National Association of Sales Professionals. We have got a great, fun guest here, a guy you guys are all really going to enjoy. From the Great White North, I'm sure he's still riding on his Toronto victories right now. But we got Sean Finder here today with us. Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Chris. The celebrations are over, but yeah, it was definitely a crazy week here in Toronto with our Raptors finally winning after 24 years.
Awesome, man. It's so cool. A lot of people behind you on that one. And I know you've got a little sports background as well, and I'm looking forward for you to sharing with our audience about that. But for all of you who don't know who Sean is, now I'm new to Sean and his whole field, but falling in love with him a little bit more every day. The guy's really doing some great things out there. Pardon me. So Sean has been an entrepreneur at heart his whole life. At age 24, Sean entered the entrepreneurial world after competing as one of Canada's top-ranked tennis players. He started out importing packages from the Orient and selling to top retailers in North America. You were Alibaba before Alibaba. I love it. However, knowing as he always loved selling and list building, we're going to talk about that. He founded Exchange Leads in 2013, which helps his company build quality lists for outreaching new prospects. Who does not need lists to reach out to new prospects for, right? This was followed by his new venture, AutoClose, in 2017 that combines both sales engagement and list building all in one platform. Sean, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and give a little bit about my story and maybe some tips and tricks.
Awesome, man. So the topic of our podcast today is completely fun and inappropriate. Is social touching appropriate for sales? Woo! Yes, it is. And Sean's going to talk to us a little bit more about that. But first, I want Sean to share with us how he got into sales. Right? We always talk about on this podcast, Sean, how look, everyone's in sales, whether you like it or not. You're a salesperson. You're selling yourself. You're selling a product. You're selling an idea. You're selling your team. You know, operations, doesn't matter where you are. You're in sales. And seeing influence, speaking of sports, I mean, there's no other great place to see confidence and momentum shift in people selling themselves on their ability to win a game or ability to power through and to do something. So I always love the correlation between sports and sales. I mean, it's such a strong, beautiful synergy there. So I know you've got a little bit of a background that ties in. Tell us a little bit about how you got into sales, man.
Perfect. I will. And I will say before we get started, I actually always look for somebody who's played some sports when I hire a salesperson because competitiveness is huge. But how did I get started? So as you said it, and most people don't understand, you might not even know, but you're always selling. When I was younger, I played competitive tennis, but I still had to sell myself to get potential sponsorships for clothing and tennis rackets. I had to sell myself to get a scholarship to the U.S. for school. I had to sell myself when I taught tennis for 10 years to try and get private lessons. So even before I even got into it, I always sell myself. And what happened was I ended up, after I played tennis, I taught for 10 years. And I had to choose to become a tennis professional, or my mom was yelling at me, go the education route, because no Canadians ever made a living off tennis. So I actually did my MBA in finance and worked in finance. And then after 2 weeks, I realized I'm too much of an extrovert. I can't do this. I can't sit behind a computer and just, go downstairs and give stuff to the traders. And what I did was I luckily got an opportunity to become a VP of sales for a software company here in Toronto and came up with an idea and haven't looked back now 2 startups later.
My man, that's awesome. So how did you get an opportunity to become VP of sales? Was that your first sales gig?
Oh, it's a very funny story. I actually went in it was Robert Half, big recruiting company, and I went in for a finance role because I just left my last company. I'm like, I want a finance job. And he goes, you know what? We just had someone come in. They're looking for a VP of sales. I know you have no sales or business development experience. However, I think you're a perfect fit. I want you just to interview. I'm like, well, what's the pay? And the pay was like a lot more than I was expecting. I go, I'll interview for it. And what happened was I had the two, one was a CEO and one was the board of directors, fly in from New York to Toronto. And literally a week later, they gave me an offer and they go, you're going to manage these five people. And another thing I think was also a new person coming to sales brings new ideas. They bring stuff that not the average salesperson would think of. So I got the opportunity, and it was actually funny because the second week on my new job, I came up with my first business venture. And that's when I actually started working on this side hustle on my new venture while I was running a company and doing the VP of sales.
I love this. I love this. So for all y'all listening and watching right now, take note a couple points here. One, flexibility, right? He went in for a finance job. What did he do? He ended up going to the sales because an opportunity presented itself. Did he think he was locked into that gig forever? No, the second week he came up with an idea, which he started working on, right? So where you are is not necessarily where you need to be for the long haul or where you will be for the long haul. And if you've got great knowledge and expertise out there, taking a transition into the sales world brings a ton of value when you bring that knowledge and expertise. A lot of people fall backwards into sales, right? They don't bring any knowledge, any expertise in the industry. They go into a sales job that they can sell something that maybe has a great opportunity, but not where their skill set is. So I love that you went somewhere where your skill set fit and you're like, yeah, well, I can sell too. So it just kind of made sense.
Yeah, and to be honest, one thing that was very scary early on was like, I was a tennis instructor. I played tennis, and then it was finance MBA, finance. I'm like, I don't really enjoy finance anymore. I love finance now as an entrepreneur because you need that as a backbone for your company. But I was like, how am I ever going to get out of finance? So an opportunity always arises. And I just got lucky. I went in for a finance role and somebody gave me a sales job. If not, I could be doing finance still today. So the opportunities will come, but I got lucky.
And you had your eyes open and you saw an opportunity and you took it. Most people are looking for reasons why that opportunity won't work. You were looking for an opportunity that would, and I love that, Sean. That's a beautiful thing. So all right, Sean. So you got into sales, then all of a sudden you started coming up with this new idea. Tell us about the new idea and what was that all about?
So it was actually second weekend lunchtime, and I just came up and I was the VP of sales, and I was like, all these sales reps, I was buying lists and buying data from companies that were, I'm not going to mention the company, but it was $1 billion company, huge company. I'm like, how are they still having a 30% bounce rate and the quality of these lists are still poor and they're $1 billion company? I'm like, maybe there's a fit in the market where I can come in and not necessarily give quantity, but give quality. And I just found that need in the market because of my own sales reps saying these emails were inaccurate or bouncing back and these phone numbers were inaccurate. And then I went to a guy that I know that was like an IT guy. I looked at him. I go, I have this idea. And he goes, we can do anything in Serbia. I'm like, well, there we go. And that's how I started my first business. I worked for the VP of sales for a year while on the side at the end of the day, I'd work on my business. And until I made my first sale, I didn't make the transition. So I kept working both, hired a developer, paid him with my salary here, hired him to build a product. I made my first sale. I took the leap.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So also, everybody listen to this great little push pin staple. Get all these entrepreneurial fun facts. I love it. Did he just have an idea and go out and say, this is the best idea, drop everything he's doing and go do it? No. He waited until he could prove the concept. He had an idea and he pushed forward. He developed the idea until he could prove the concept, until he had his first sales. Then he realized, all right, the system works. Now I can do this on a bigger scale.
And one thing I will add to that is it's not like I just left and made my first sale. I planned to leave, so I saved up 6 months worth of rent, entertainment. I had a girlfriend at the time. The last thing I was going to say is we have to sit home and eat grass and we can't go out for dinner anymore. Girl's going to probably leave me. So I planned 6 months ahead and said, even at the day I leave, I'm going to have 6 months I can continue my lifestyle and nothing will change. But I have 6 months to get this up and running and profitable and obviously break even. So don't just leave to leave if you have an idea and you made your first, $49 sale, which was my first deal. Plan ahead so you can pay your rent and pay your bills. That is if you aren't living at your parents' house.
I love that. 6 months of cushion to keep the boyfriend or girlfriend. Don't forget that one.
Exactly.
So you identified this niche in the market and then you started to pursue it. How have you taken that and then built on that now?
great question. So I took the first business. We got a whale of a client in our first 3 months, and built the business where it was profitable. We're making a lot of money. And then, the government came and said, we're going to have to pay taxes. And I said, oh, shit. How much tax do I have to pay? And I said, I don't really want to. I'd rather just do some research and development and build another platform, to attach it. It lowers my hires my expenses, changes my taxes. And I listened to our clients. Our clients with the data company were like, Sean, we love your data, but where do we email it from? So I was like, well, we built the platform now that they can use the data and email, put that all in one. So our first company then paid to build the second company. It's not like we just started from scratch. We took the profits from the first one and built the second platform and continued to build it.
I love it. Most people get stuck on that first idea and they're like, oh, this is it. This is everything, right? They keep digging in, but there is no certainty, right? And these ideas continue to evolve and there is no there. So when you have an idea and it opens up, I love your flexibility and how you kept moving on to the next thing, the next opportunity, and built on the current status and current system.
Yeah, and even with every business, sometimes you have to pivot. For example, we're always changing our techniques. We're always double downing on what's working. Like, for example, our first 6 months, we had our whole buyer's persona wrong for our team. But now that we've changed that, things change a lot. So you got to be looking ahead, but always making changes to help you as a person, but also your business to succeed.
I love it. All right. So we got the gist of who you are, Sean, where you came from. Our audience knows you a little bit better now, and what you fought through to get where you are right now. So let's talk about something that can add some value to our salespeople out there right now.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of different ways, like email marketing, right? It's when you lead a sales team, one of the first questions you get, where are the leads, right?
Yeah.
Or where are the lists? Where are the leads and where are the lists? Yep. And then there's these automated systems now that everybody's using, right? Okay, put them in a workflow, put them in a sequence. Go ahead and just drop them in and check on them later, right?
Yeah.
This isn't working all automation. There's got to be some touch points in there, and what we're talking about now is social touching, right? When you reach out to somebody via that email, and you're like, all right, I've got this person via email and we've got a response, we've got some type of engagement. How do I build rapport more with this person and connect to them more? And we talk about social touching. Tell us a little bit more about social touching. I just like saying the words.
Yeah, and it's so it's so important now. We have for example, we have an automation platform, but that's not even enough. And that's why we're looking to expand into the social touching. Now, let me tell you why. Everyone can email. Everyone's emailing. CEOs, sales reps are always getting emails. Now, how can you differentiate yourself and make sure that when they get that email, they will reply? And these are some strategies that we use in-house, and we use it for not only cold prospecting, we use it for actually following up on quotes that are outstanding, is use the magic of LinkedIn. And the reason why I say that is if you send a cold email, or say we had one person send Chris an email, the other person send Chris an email, but one person added Chris as a connection on LinkedIn. One person commented on the last post on this podcast on LinkedIn. One person, liked something he shared on LinkedIn. Well, guess what? When Chris has to decide which person, he'd be like, oh, you know what? Sean, yeah, I remember he was on my newsfeed because he liked my last post. And you almost can build that trust and build that rapport with somebody by not even emailing them or calling them. You can do it simply by liking, sharing, and commenting, which is why I think those two are actually called cells. Comment, endorse, like, and share. I always use those. Use those different touch points because when you do it, your prospect will be more likely to reply to you, and it only helps you fasten or expedite that whole sales process.
I love it. So that's cells, in case you all missed it. Comment, endorse, like, and share.
Exactly.
This is brilliant because I get emails all the time, all day long. Check out this service, check out that service. And even in LinkedIn, I got lazy people sending me those automated, what are they called? The LinkedIn emails, in-mails.
Yeah.
And it's, hey, every one of them starts with the same thing. I noticed you're interested in such and such, and it's all so generic. And most of these people have never liked, commented, or shared on anything that I've done. I've never even heard or seen their names before.
Yeah. And one thing I really love doing, and it works, and I'll give you this tip, is say you have a quote outstanding. You're sending a prospect a quote. And instead of bothering them, because you've already demoed them, you've already quoted them, and you don't want to follow up, did you receive the quote? Did you do this? Have you made a decision? Your expiry date's next week, and you keep emailing. If you just go on LinkedIn, add them as a connection, and even just like something they do, watch how quickly they will respond to your email. If I send you an email, Chris, and I said, did you get my any questions about the quote? And I like you, or do some sort of social touch on LinkedIn, on your newsfeed, it's going to say, Sean liked this. Oh, I forgot to reply to Sean's email. I know he emailed me yesterday or the day before. Watch how quickly your prospect will reply to you. And we use it all the time with quotes, and it works amazing.
I love that. And it's funny too. I've kind of noticed this in social environments. So just in speaking with people, whereas you maybe reach out to somebody and like, oh, I know. And but then when you see them in a when you're not going to them for that thing, right? When you're like, oh, hey, I was just calling to check in on you, or you drop in a comment that has nothing to do with the with the proposal out or anything else that you're looking for, it's almost like the law of reciprocity kicks in. They're like, oh, he's not harassing me about this thing. He's just commenting and being nice. I should comment and be nice and reply back to that thing that we're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah. Here's an example. Say, for example, I sent you a quote, and I go on LinkedIn, and you wrote a post on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm deciding between Pipedrive and Salesforce. Which one? I would be the first one in there to say, hey, well, I use Pipedrive, et cetera, et cetera. So helping you find a CRM for yourself builds that trust. And at that point, be like, you're more likely to buy someone that is helping you with not even something that I'm selling you. I'm helping you with just find a CRM for your company. But by doing that and helping people and networking with people, it gets people to trust you and build relationship. And nowadays, with so many different sales, automation, CRMs, everything out there, trust is the most important thing. So if you can build that trust and help people, they will reciprocate and end up buying your product.
I love this. So how are your clients utilizing this with your auto close software? Is there some, what's going on there? Fill me in.
Great question. So currently we don't have that social touch inside AutoClose. It is it's on the roadmap.
Okay.
And we're hoping by Q3 to have some sort of LinkedIn where, for example, if you're going to send a sequence, I hate the word sequence, but I always use it.
Yeah.
But sending that sequence out, after 3 emails, maybe you can automatically connect with them on LinkedIn with a personalized connection. And then maybe after 5, you can do something. So we're looking at different ways. LinkedIn is tough to API integrate with, but we will definitely be putting social into our platform because I think that's something that will definitely give us a competitive advantage as an entrepreneur. You always want to look forward. So I think social is not going anywhere. It's new to everyone. Everyone's using it. So looking forward to that is something that we're doing here at AutoClose as well.
I love that. That's beautiful. So when you are talking to your clients, so you're having them build that into, because not all, I mean, if I look at my my HubSpot CRM or whatever CRM tool I'm using, it's not always built in there like an audit. And listen, let's be honest, you can't just automatically go in and have a system just go in and like something on somebody's page or comment on something that actually makes sense, right? It's something that you have to do personally. And I think that personal touch is what makes this thing extra special. And I think as we continue to move forward, I'm sure that there'll be more people that will automate this process or create an automatic way to do a like or something like that. And what are your thoughts on personalizing that? On not only personalizing the sequences that you have, but personalizing those touches that you make yourself.
If you don't personalize the touches, there's no point in doing them. Everyone could easily press the connect button and say, oh, I'd love to connect with you. But if I said, Chris, I'd love to connect to share sales experiences with you and learn from your network. Feel free to browse my network so if I can make any industry introductions for you. Something to where that I always say to people, in sales and life in general, it's a give and get. If you're only going to get, you have to give. Mm-hmm. So by working both ways, people will reciprocate to you. So I think that personalizing your touch, personalizing everything is very important. And it's tough to automate that personalization, but you have to find a way to do it. So what I like to always say to me, Sean, like, how do you have so much time to do all these LinkedIn posts and all this stuff? It's because, for example, if I was going to do a podcast from 2 to 2:45 and my next meeting's at 3 o'clock, those 15 minutes, I might do a post, or I might do a like, or I might do endorse. So find those small time frames where you have nothing to do, you're eating your lunch, and just do a few likes, connections, etc., to get that network going for you.
I love that. And I think most people are like, oh, where can I schedule or where can I plan another hour in my day to like and comment and go do all the things that I need to do on social media? But no, take those little fractions of time that you have. There's a whole term for this, and I can't remember what it is, but these micro tasks, I believe, is something like that.
Yeah.
It's taking these little things and just slipping them in so they're not, because I don't know about you, Sean, but like my schedule is blocked out hour by hour, and it's just chunks of time that are taken out of my day every day. When I look at my schedule, well, there's no time left for anything, let alone going on social media and taking this time to actually sift through and find something to like or that I have value to add, right? Because it's not you just go to the post and go, all right, I got a ton of value to add to every single thing somebody's saying. You got to look and take that time for it. So to put these little micro tasks in throughout your day, I think is a beautiful concept. Another one, and I'm sure you use these as well, are just task reminders. And I know it sounds simple and little, right? But to create task reminders to remind you to comment, to remind you to go like, or to remind you that, hey, if they haven't replied back to the email, reach out to them on XYZ social media. Huge tool. Now, are you using other social medias, or are you just sticking with the professional LinkedIn system?
Great question. So as a team, we use more. I'm only really big on LinkedIn. I'm in Facebook sometimes. There's one group. It's called the SaaS Growth Hacks group, I think. They always talk about different SaaS platforms. So I'm in that group. But I do have, I'm lucky enough now that we've expanded our team that I do have a content marketer. I do have a social media person that will post everything on their Twitters and the other ones. But I only have time for LinkedIn, and occasionally on Facebook if I have a question or my marketing team has a question. We'll post in that group. It's a great group for SaaS founders that we use as well.
Awesome. So how would you recommend somebody, so basically you'd have somebody prioritize their time schedule on this, right? And also where their clients are?
Yeah, and there's also cool automation tools you can do for your social media. So there's like Hootsuite and Buffer. Mm-hmm. We use Buffer in-house. So you can always add stuff to that. It'll automatically share on all your different profiles, your Google+, your Twitter, your Instagram, etc. So we do that as well. We do use Buffer, but there's a few of them out there. That does help. But at the same time, I'll give you a funny story and an example. I saw something come through Buffer in my marketing team the other day. And I'm like, it was a September 17th, 2018 webinar. I'm like, well, you can't post that on Buffer and send that out now. So maybe just put the picture without the date. So you do find you still have to read over your automations. That was a lesson learned from our marketing team. I was like, you can't be public. You can't be inviting people to a 2018 webinar. So that's a mistake, but you can automate through Buffer and other platforms as well.
And to your point, Sean, I think even when I got on Buffer, I was trying to scale my social media reach, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not on Twitter very much. I'll set it on automatic, to start, pushing out. And what I realized it was doing without paying a lot of attention, it was basically just copying a headline, putting it in the post, and then putting a bunch of tags for other companies in there. Basically, I was just marketing for other companies through the whole process. And to your point, like, these systems are great, but they're not like touchless, right? There's something that you have to go in and personalize. You have to have some type of your fingers and your hands and your language in before you set them free and let them roll.
I call it babysitting. They need a little bit of babysitting.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about, I wasn't even paying attention to it much. I remember looking and somebody's like, why do you just keep posting the headline on every post? I'm like, oh yeah, that's not good at all. but it makes sense. Like, these are all tools to use, not tools to do your job for you, right? These are tools to help you do your job better.
Yeah, and I always tell people, you're not going to have robots and AI, and nobody's going to ever take away jobs. They're going to take away time of your day. It's just like, a sales engagement, a sales automation platform. We do everything for you, but you're still going to have to do a little bit yourself. You still have to follow up yourself. You still have to get on the phone call. Sometimes you have to do the social. So even with all those different automation tools with Buffer and all them, you got to babysit, spend a half an hour once a week, make sure your 100 posts you have scheduled are all not dated 2018. That actually happened this morning. It's true story. And I was like, this is probably something I don't want to post. We just delete that. But gotta be careful.
And like we said, babysitting, right? Like, so even if it's an automated system or you've got somebody doing it for you,
Yeah.
having that keep your eyes on things. Just go have a time where you periodically check on things to observe, to make sure things are happening, and the process in which you do things. Because to your point, it was very incongruent for my social media to be posting just headlines and a lot of different things that I wasn't even they weren't even aligned with who I was. So be aligned with the story that you're telling on social media. And in person, if you're a super friendly, hands-on, touchy-feely, warm person, and you got somebody doing your posts and they're like dry and antiquated, right? It's incongruent. People will tell that right away.
Yeah, and I'll give you another example of a little funny story.
I love the stories. Yeah.
We had a blog that said, your 7 ways to sell during the summer months, but we sent it in November because it was on Buffer. Like, so there's certain things because it was just a blog post that we kept using on Buffer.
Sure.
You gotta spend a little bit of time because obviously, November might be summer somewhere, but not in Toronto, Canada, where we're in a lot of snow. You want to make sure it's appropriate for the time of year, and you do spend, as Chris said, babysitting it a little bit.
Awesome, man. All right, so I got a couple more questions. I know everybody's like, well, listen, you guys, there's a list guy. Ask him some questions about some lists out here, right?
Okay.
So listen, we have a lot of sales leaders. I'm a sales leader. We've got teams and always trying to get more lists and more leads into our team's hands and give them an opportunity to work with qualified people and to work with good data. What are some tips that you can give people when they're out there looking to acquire some new lists, some new data to begin prospecting for their company?
Yeah. The first thing is know who your buyer is. So what I mean by that is don't just buy a list to buy a list. Do a little bit of testing to say, okay, VPs of sales are my buyer. Well, great. Is it VPs of sales in manufacturing, construction, or even what you can do, what I recommend is go to your existing clients. Say you have 100 clients, 50 clients. See what the title of the person that actually bought it off you is and see what industry they're in. And then when you choose your list, choose those, because if you already have the University of Texas that bought off you, well, let's go after maybe a university in San Antonio or Dallas or Houston, etc. So look and make sure you know who your buyer is before you buy a list. I would recommend if you are buying a list, there's tons of people selling lists. Be careful. I don't want to say, but I would just say if you're buying a list, the ones outside of North America, maybe just be a little bit weary how they're getting their data because a lot of data is outdated. So always get a sample and try and ping the servers or do something to make sure you're getting quality. Because the last thing you want is to spend, which I did early on in my career, is spend thousands of dollars on a list and had a 35% bounce rate and people didn't work there for the last 6 years. So do your due diligence on the list provider, check reports on them, rip off reports, scam reports, etc. What else I would do is know the type of revenue, maybe the employee count, and different things. Do a lot of testing, find out, is your buyer the C-level versus the VP level, manager level, director level? So I can't go back to know your audience. That's the most important to building a custom and especially a good list to use.
Love that, dude. Love that. And knowing your buyer is so essential and so important. And I always go back to the Lululemon model. I just read Chip Wilson's book on little black stretchy pants. And they talk about their target. Her name is Ocean. Their avatar, and she has a name. She has a birthday. They know everything about her, how much school she's accomplished, how many kids she has, the whole thing. And it's very, very, very clean and specific. And I love using that model with everybody. All right, who's the exact person? They're like, oh, well, between this age and this between this size and this. So we're at half the market, and it doesn't make any sense. If you're getting this sliver of half the market, why don't you figure out, like you said, look at that sliver a lot closer and figure out who those people really are and start attacking that niche maybe a little bit better. Or maybe there's some shifts that you need to make in your organization to get that same sliver of the market, but just to get a higher paying sliver of the market, right?
Yeah.
Ask questions is a great thing.
And I always tell my salespeople, when you have a new client come on, Go find out who the top 10 competitors to that client is,
Ooh, I like
and go
that.
after them.
I like
So
that.
basically, mirror image your existing client. If your client is VMware, well, let's go after Dell, Oracle, Microsoft, etc. Whoever would be the
Love it.
same. The same with, as I said, education. If you have a university you work with, well, let's find out every college within 20 miles of that university, and let's say, hey, we're working with the University of Texas. Interested? You'll see you'll get a better response.
Love it, Sean. Everybody loves a little social proof, don't they?
Exactly.
That's awesome. All right, Sean, one more question for you. I've seen these companies around that are list generators or the tools or software which will verify your list. And then they'll actually generate or generate emails from basically guessing and referencing all the different emails or from that company. Have you worked with any of these companies? Are you tied? What's the deal with these companies? Tell us a little bit about.
I'm not, and to be honest, I find the quality with those companies is not as good as a naturalist. And here's my reason why. There's so many companies nowadays that say, "Oh, well, we scrape LinkedIn and we get all the information off of LinkedIn." Well, great, that's amazing. But here's my problem, and here's my question for the audience: is what email did you use to sign up with LinkedIn? I know what I used, my Gmail. Why? Because people change companies, so you never want to associate your business email with your LinkedIn profile. So if you're scraping LinkedIn, A, you have my personal email, which I never look at. B, if you are selling B2B lists, you're guessing. So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, Christopher McCoy is at chris.mccoy@abc.com. And then everybody at abc.com is going to be first dot last name at abc.com. That's not possible because I know mine is Sean at autoclose.com, but my VP of sales is Adrian.chow at autoclose.com. So they use these algorithms and they think that because one person's email is a certain way, they all are. So any company that's saying they're scraping LinkedIn, I mean, I don't know. I don't see how they can have my email because, as I said, my email's findersean@gmail.com on my LinkedIn.
I like it. So ask the questions, test the data.
Oh, 100%.
Commitment.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, man. Sean, I've got a couple more minutes here. I'll ask you one more question that I ask everybody before we go. I actually have two more questions for you, Sean. One is, what is one tip, you've already given us some great tools. Sales, I love this. Comment, endorse, like, share is a great way to have those social touches with your prospects and with your clients. What is one other tip or tool that our salespeople out there can put to action today that can help increase their sales conversion, help make them better at what they're doing?
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say the company we use, and it's have a scheduling automation tool in your emails. And I personally use Calendly. Mm-hmm. I think they have a free tool, but it's like $8 a month. And what it does, it saves you a ton of time. So if I want to book a meeting with you, Chris, instead of me going, Chris, when are you available? And you say, oh, Monday, Wednesday. Oh, but I'm only available Tuesday, Thursday. You go back and forth. You send a link, you book a time, and it's all done for you. We have it automated with our Zoom, which we use. So it's scheduled it sends the link out. Everything's done. You just do one click, and it's very easy. So that's one tool I would say is an asset to all salespeople.
I absolutely love it. And for you sales leaders out there that are having leads come in from all places, you can set up round robin call invites too, so they come to whoever's up next. They can cross schedules, and that is a great tool and has saved my life, Sean. So
we use the round robins as well. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Very cool, Sean. I love it, man. That's definitely some high value. Last question I'm going to ask you before we cut this thing off. What is one time you've used sales outside of your job of career sales, somewhere in your personal life?
That's a great question. So I will.
By the way, just so everybody knows, this is always an on-the-spot question. I don't prep this for them for this one.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you where I had to use my sales, and this was it's an interesting story. So when I was playing tennis, I had Brown University come in and watch me at a tennis tournament, and there was
no slouch.
There was 3 people, and they were going to select 2 Canadians to go to the school.
Oh wow.
Okay. So we're all playing in the same tennis tournament, so I knew I had to sell myself. So we actually ended up going, even though I won the tournament, it was still, I had to sell myself because the way it worked with Ivy League was there was financial aid, and then there was tennis scholarship. There's all different ways. But I had to go in and sell myself to the coach. He came in, I had to sell myself at a restaurant on why I would be better off. And I was only, this time, like 16, 17. I had to sell him why I would be better than the other two people, even though they were ranked higher than me. Why, as the third person, I would be a better person to go to the school with and be on their tennis team. It did work, but I didn't end up going around.
There you go. Nothing better than getting the sale and deciding you don't want the deal in the first place, right?
Yeah.
That's the power. That's awesome. So that's beautiful. And for so many people fall backwards into sales, or I got to go sell because I'm not making enough money in whatever it is that I wanted to do in life. The sales is something that we all do every single day. Sean's told you several different areas in his life where he's had to sell, and most of them in and around sports. So I thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate the time you took with us today. Check him out. Sean, where can our people learn or find you or hear more about what you're doing?
Great. Follow us. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Go to Sean Fine. You can find me there. Our LinkedIn page, AutoClose, we post a lot. I post a lot of videos, a lot of different stuff on there. All my sales tips, even just today, I posted about 3. So I always provide 2 to 3 good sales tips there. If you want to email me, you have any question about sales on conversions or anything, you can email me at Shawn, SHAWN, at AutoClose, and that's AutoClose with a K, .com. And obviously, if you want to check out our platform, you can visit our website at AutoClose.com.
I love it, man. Close with a K. That's strong, man. It's getting some legs, Sean. I can feel it, man. Well, hey, listen, thank you so much for being here. Audience, my amazing NASP audience, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you got some great nuggets in here that you can put to work this moment. Calendly's a free app. Rock that thing. And start with your sales social touching. Social touching is appropriate, everyone. Have fun social touching. And don't forget to like, comment, and share on this podcast as it comes out on Facebook. Don't forget to go to iPhone, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure that you subscribe. We love your subscriptions. We love your comments. Please go ahead and review us. Do all those beautiful things. And if you haven't already, become a member of NASP today. It's a free membership, and it won't be forever, y'all. There's a lot of value there and a lot of more value coming. And Sean, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. We'll have to do this again sometime soon, brother.
Sounds great, Chris. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Have a great day. Cheers.